For 2 months, I thought my ex was haunting me. I thought she'd sent the thing that called my name at night, that dragged me toward mirrors, that left scratches on my back while I slept. I was wrong. The truth was so much worse, and I figured it out too late. Before I tell you what happened, I need to tell you about something else. Something I hadn't thought about in almost 20 years. When I was 7, I had what my mom called an imaginary friend. I don't remember his face. I don't remember his name anymore, but I remember my mom finding me in the middle of the night, sitting up in bed, talking quietly to the empty corner of my room. Not playing, talking, answering. She told me very firmly that I was never to mention him again. Not to her, not to anyone. We moved out of that house 6 months later. I forgot about him completely. Until 2 months ago, when I started to wonder if he had ever really left. That night, I was at a bar with some friends. We watched the game, talked, had a couple of beers. I wasn't drunk. Remember that, it matters. When we wrapped up, I decided to walk home. My apartment was only a few blocks away. The street was empty. Closed stores, dark windows, not a soul around. And that's when I heard it for the first time. Michael. I spun around, no one behind me. I looked both ways, empty sidewalk in every direction. I told myself I was imagining things and kept walking, but a few seconds later, again, Michael. Closer this time. Much closer. Like someone was standing right behind me, speaking straight into the back of my neck. I stopped in the middle of the street. My heart was pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. I turned around again. No one. Back then, I had no idea this voice would turn my life into a nightmare. My name is Michael. I'm 25. It all started about a month after I broke up with my girlfriend. Her name was Elena. We'd been together 2 years. The breakup was bad. She didn't want to let go. I tried to move on. She didn't. I had no idea then how far she was willing to go to get me back. After we split, she called me dozens of times. Sometimes she left voicemails. In one of them, her voice shaking, she said she kept seeing me in her dreams. Standing at the foot of her bed in the dark, not moving, just watching her sleep. She begged me to stop, but I was home every one of those nights. I never listened to all of those messages. I think part of me already knew I didn't want to hear what was on them. At first, the voice came rarely, once every few days. I blamed it on being tired, on my nerves, told myself I should drink less. But then it started calling me every single night. On the street, in the stairwell, outside my door at 3 a.m. I'd get up, I'd check. Every time, no one. Just a silence that put a chill on my skin. Then the mirror started. One night I was brushing my teeth when I felt it. Fingers, cold, strong, grabbed me by the collar from behind and pulled me toward the mirror. I barely managed to grab the sink. I held on. I stood there shaking, staring at my reflection. And then I realized something in the mirror was staring back, not quite my face, just slightly off, like whatever was behind the glass had been watching me for a long time, and had finally stopped pretending. The next morning I found scratches on my shoulder blade, 3 parallel lines, deep. I never felt them happen. There was nothing sharp anywhere near me. That's when I started thinking I was losing my mind. And then it got worse. One morning I picked up my phone and saw something that made my stomach drop. Outgoing calls to Elena's number at 3:14 in the morning. 3 of them on 3 different nights, each one lasting several minutes. I never made those calls. I was asleep when they happened. I was sure of it. I sat on the edge of my bed staring at that screen, and for the first time I understood. Whatever this was, it wasn't just following me. It was using me. It was doing things with my hands while I slept, and I had no memory of any of it. So I decided to prove to myself I wasn't crazy. One night, I set my phone on the nightstand and left it recording while I slept. If the voice was real, I'd have it. If it was all in my head, I'd finally know that too. In the morning, the recording was 4 hours long. I scrubbed through it. For a long time, nothing. Just my own breathing. And then, at 3:14, my breathing stopped. And a voice started talking. My voice. Calm. Steady. Wide awake. Answering questions. Long pauses between each answer, like it was listening to someone I couldn't hear. At one point, my own voice on that recording said, clear as day, "I know, I'm almost ready." I have never, in my life, been more terrified than I was sitting in the daylight, listening to myself agree to something in the dark. I started sleeping at friends' places just to get away from my apartment. The first night, I stayed at my friend Marcus's place. He has a dog, an old golden retriever named Bandit, sweet as anything, the kind of dog that loves everyone the second she meets them. She'd known me for years. She'd slept on my feet on that same couch 100 times. That night, she wouldn't come near me. Around 2 a.m, she started growling, low and steady in her throat. I sat up and looked. She was staring at the corner of the living room, hackles up, lips pulled back. There was nothing there. Just the wall. She growled at the corner for almost 10 minutes. The next morning, when I came into the kitchen, she backed away from me and hid behind Marcus's legs. She wouldn't look at me. Marcus laughed it off. I didn't. Dogs don't make mistakes about things like that. But the voice followed me. And so did the mirrors. One night, at a motel in another city, I woke up at 4 a.m, standing in the bathroom, my face pressed against the mirror. I didn't remember getting there. I didn't remember getting up. Just darkness, and then cold glass against my cheek, and my own face staring at me in the dark. After that night, I almost stopped sleeping. I lost several pounds in 3 weeks. My friends looked at me and didn't recognize me. I didn't recognize myself. There was one more thing, and this is the part that finally broke me. My neighbor, an older woman who lived across the hall, stopped me one morning by the mailboxes. She asked me, almost embarrassed, who I'd been talking to every night. She said she heard me through the wall, a low voice talking, sometimes for an hour, and then a second voice answering. I live alone. There was no one in my apartment. I'd been hearing a voice for weeks, sure, but it had never once occurred to me that someone else could hear it too. That night, I realized this thing wasn't only in my head. It was real enough to leave a sound in the world. For weeks, one of my friends had kept bringing up 2 sisters, twins, who people said could help with the kind of things no one can explain. I'd brushed him off every time. Now I called him at 2 a.m. and asked him to take me to them. They took me to those 2 sisters. One was named Gigi, the other one Dee. People talked about them in whispers, that they were different, that they could see what ordinary people couldn't. I didn't believe in any of that, but I hadn't slept right in 2 months, and I was ready to try anything. I sat down at the table across from them and stayed quiet for a long time. I just stared at my hands. Both forearms had fresh scratches. I didn't even notice anymore when they showed up. Dee looked at me, silent, for a long time. Then she asked, completely calm, "When did you throw out her gifts?" I looked up. How did she know about the gifts? I'd never told anyone, not even my friends knew. But Dee just waited for an answer, like she already knew it. The thing is, I hadn't thrown them out. The jacket Elena gave me for my birthday. The watch. A small framed photo I kept in a desk drawer and had almost forgotten was there. Dee said one word. Burn them. Not throw out. Burn. Gigi nodded without a word. I understood there was no point in arguing. But before I got up to leave, Dee said something else. Quietly, almost like she was saying it to herself. A single word, a name. I hadn't heard that name in almost 20 years. It was the name I used to call my so-called imaginary friend when I was 7 years old. I had never told anyone that name. I had barely even remembered it myself. Dee didn't explain. She didn't look at me when she said it. She just spoke it once, into the air, and went quiet. I felt the room get colder. I felt Gigi watching me. And I knew, the way you know something in your bones, that whatever was happening to me hadn't started a month ago. It had started a very, very long time before that. That same night, I burned everything in the parking lot behind my building. The jacket caught fast. The watch took a long time to melt. While they burned, Dee stood by the fire, murmuring something under her breath. I couldn't make out the words. Gigi stood a little farther back, silent, staring into the dark behind me. Not at the fire, behind me. And then something happened I've never been able to explain. There was no wind that night, none at all. But the flames suddenly bent sideways, reaching toward me, like something was trying to climb out of the fire and grab hold. I stepped back, and in that second, in the dark window of a parked car beside me, I saw it. My own reflection, in a tall shape standing right behind my shoulder. I turned around. Nothing there. When I looked back at the glass, the shape was gone too. Dee didn't stop murmuring. She just said quietly, without looking at me, "Don't look at it. Let it burn." Dee also told me to stop drinking completely. She was very specific about it. "Alcohol opens doors," she said. "You already have too many open doors." I didn't ask what that meant. After that night, I never drank again. The voice came back one more time. 3 nights after the burning. My name? Once. From the hallway outside my door. I didn't get up. I didn't go check. I just lay there in the dark and waited. The voice didn't come again. It never came back. The scratches healed in a few days. The mirror became just a mirror again. For the first time in 2 months, I slept through the whole night without waking up. Elena never reached out again. Whatever she did, it stopped working the night that watch melted. Or something told her it was over. I'll never know. I'm okay now. I work. I laugh. I go out to bars with friends again, though I always take a different route home. I'm in no rush to date anyone new. Not because I'm scared, I'm just more careful. When something has followed you across several cities, you get very particular about who you let close. One day I asked Gigi what exactly Dee had seen that night at the table. Gigi was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "She says it wasn't in you. It was behind you. And it had been there since the first night. The night you heard your name." I almost laughed. The first night. She had no idea. Or maybe she did. I asked, "Is it gone?" Gigi thought about it longer than I would have liked. "Yes," she said, "for now." I didn't ask what "for now" meant. Some answers are worse than not knowing. But here's what still keeps me up at night. That first night on the street wasn't really the first night. Not for me. The voice that called me from the dark already knew my name because it had known me since I was 7 years old. Maybe longer. Elena didn't send it. She couldn't have. She just opened a door that had been waiting, very patiently, for someone to open it from my side. And sometimes, late at night, I think about something I've never said out loud. That night by the fire, did we really get rid of it? Or did it just stop needing me? My name is Michael. Every word of this is true, and if one night you hear someone call your name out of the dark where no one is there, I'll ask you for just one thing. Don't answer, because not everything that follows you has a face, but it always knows your name, and it's waiting for you to turn around.